No changes. The one thing I did warn you about, item number new business 11.2 SD. Lake County School District 7 MOU. Maybe we have to have some flexibilities for whether that's going to be in the agenda because of Superintendent Jack Thompson. So the rest of it's intact and is as is.
Do we need to amend that with him?
No, we don't.
I move to approve the meeting agenda items for September 13th as presented.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes from August 9th.
I move to approve the minutes of August 9th as presented.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
I abstain also.
Then I need to vote, right?
Yeah, you voted.
I should, yeah. Right. Motion carries. Correspondence.
I have none, Madam Chair.
Hold on a minute. Reports.
I refer to the building principals. Ladies first.
Our enrollment's up a little bit. We're at 413. We have 58 kids at Union, which is the most we've had out there in quite some time. So those classrooms are jam-packed. K1 and 2, 3, 4 especially. We have a little room in the 5, 6 room. Other than that, they are pretty jam-packed. I went to the welcome back to school barbecue at Union, and it was well attended. Our orientation day went well in town. Was well attended as well. We had quite a few people in the gym for the general session. We hurried up right between the last board meeting and this one. We hurried up and got a couple more positions hired. Teresa Whitman graciously stepped up and filled a .25 music position. We've had it advertised as halftime, but we made it work with .25. And she's a fantastic teacher as it is. We already had her hired as a halftime math coach, and she extended her schedule a little bit for us to help with that. So she's taking at Union, and she's teaching 2nd and 4th music for us. We also lost a custodian right before school started out at Union. We hired Connor Albertson, and he started this Monday. In that position, we held a dental and hearing screening on September 12th. We had Advantage Dental in the school most of the morning, and they did dental screenings for K through 6. We offered that to Union, and they went out to Union and did a few of those out there. Our ESD employees that we contract with came in and did hearing screenings in grades 5, and then upon parent request. The Lions were not able to provide side screenings, but Abby Finetti joined us as well and came in and set up a presentation for parents that are just kind of picking up kids at Hay about how to fit car seats correctly, bicycle helmets, those kinds of things, kind of reaching out the community and providing some health services. We have started a 6-part training for our staff, professional development training in the area of math to support math. We start tomorrow with a lady named Janice Heigl, who is providing some support in the Klamath School Districts, but's worked all over the world. She's also participating with the high school. She'll be visiting all of the classrooms in the district at some point or another. But tomorrow, we only have her for 1 day. So she'll be in part of our elementary classrooms and 3 of our math classrooms with our regular math teachers, and then a couple other teachers that provide some math support. And what tomorrow's goal is for her to just do observations and kind of a survey of what she thinks our teachers need to learn and need to do in the areas of math. But it's a K-12 project, and it's all grant funded through House Bill 3499. Other than that, our kindergarten numbers are high, our first grade numbers are high. I talked about Union a little bit, and we are off to a pretty smooth start. Lots of kids, great staff, and moving right along. Are there any questions?
As far as the math support, it's for our teachers to help them
become better math teachers. And she'll be back 5 more times after tomorrow for 2-day blocks throughout the year. And our teachers will be observed in the classrooms. They'll set some goals with her, and then it's my responsibility, and I've offered to help Rusty with some of that evaluation pieces as he's getting his feet wet, to evaluate teachers and see if they are meeting the goals that she and they have agreed on. It's mostly centered around math vocabulary because the funding is coming from an ELL grant for English language learners. And so that's where most of the funding is coming from. But what we know is that best practices in vocabulary and math or language benefit all of our kids. So we want to do something that we can tweak a little bit and benefit all our kids, not just our ELL kids.
School garden at Union producing quite a bit.
It is producing quite a bit. They did a report at the welcome back night. The corn maze is not as high as they'd like it, so they aren't going to be able to use that. But they're producing quite a bit. They don't have a fence up yet, and so there's some deer out
It's
there.
good deer hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, the person who is coming on Friday, is that worth any of us to show our support to the garden? I wasn't exactly sure who that person was that was coming. Do you
I knew
know?
nothing about it. Amanda did not share that information with me. I got, until today, I found out through another source that the food corps is having a representative come on Friday at 2 o'clock to tour the garden, and I'll be out there, but.
And you're invited to attend too.
You're welcome to attend. I think they just they're changing employees. We had Rochelle Hansen with us last year. She resigned and moved back to Portland. So they have a new employee, and I think they're just kind of getting the lay of the land is my understanding, but I don't know that for sure. But any of you are welcome to come out at 2 on Friday.
Or I guess I can call Jean as well. Or
Sure.
just come.
Yeah, either way, it's good. Any other questions I can answer for you?
Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
We're off to a good start considering. You were talking about people leaving. We still have them leaving, so we still have some hiring to do. But you saw most of our new hires at the high school, and it's a little misleading because a lot of them are new teachers to us, but not new to teaching. So that eases the burden a little bit. I've been in most of their classrooms for at least a period so far, and they're off and running. They're doing a great job. They grabbed the curriculum. What really helped us is we have some pretty seasoned veterans who are the department chairs in our departments where we were decimated. We lost 2/3 of our math department. Mark Louis stepped up and kind of took the bull by the horns and helped those people out. And Dusty Counts did the same thing in the science department. And so we had meetings with them during in-service and got them up and running pretty quick, which was really nice. It's been amazing how the entire high school staff has stepped up. When Mr. Cahill came in and announced that I was going to take over, I don't know how to take it if they're just all really stepping up or if they all figured I can't do the job and they figured they better step up or it's not going to get done. Because almost every single one of them has been in my office asking if there's anything I can do to help, let us know. And it's so new to me, I don't even know how to direct them yet on where I need help. So it's been awesome that way. Our enrollment right now, and these figures are a little in flux because we've had an issue in our registrar department of having somebody there. We have somebody out on a medical leave issue right now. And so we're bringing somebody in and they're trying to catch up. But right now our numbers look like 107 in the DMS and 242 at the high school. And those numbers will fluctuate once we drop the kids that aren't supposed to be there and add the new ones that have registered here in the last few days. We have on the 18th, it's either 18th or 19th, I might be wrong on it, OIT coming, is it the? 18th, OIT coming, and they're going to be talking to our kids. Also that night, we're going to have a financial aid night for our parents, so that they can come in and figure out how to fill out the FAFSA and for kids that are college bound and see what programs are out there for them. So that's a great service we do. On the 21st, we have Eastern Oregon coming, is that 4th period?
Yes.
4th period for our 10th and 11th graders? Or is it?
It's a senior class and then an Avid class.
Okay. To talk about college, so our whole push of being college ready is already up and running for this year. On the 28th, we hope to take our freshmen over to a program in Klamath Falls called Graduation Motivation, and they set goals there, and if they meet those goals, they actually get prizes from the Herald and News to be able to use, like, Dutch Brother gift cards, those kinds of things. So we didn't participate in this program last year, is my understanding. So Randy and I met today, and we want to kind of focus on our freshmen. The senior program that they had, we do a lot of those things here for them, like financial aid night and preparation. So we didn't feel it was necessary to get them there, but we're going to try to get all of our freshmen there. The OSAA has had their second to last meeting. They ratified the new classification system in October. The delegate assembly will meet and vote on that and finalize that. And Jesse was on the delegate assembly, and when he left, our league had to find someone new to put on it, so I am fulfilling his term. So I will be there to help vote on that. And right now, with our ADM figures from last year, we actually are not getting a geographical exemption any longer. We're under the cutoff and are a 2A school starting next year. And still up in the air, there may be one more school joining our league, I'm hoping. So if that happens, because of the lack of success, Rogue River may come down and join us in this new league.
Some of those schools that are in that proposed league, are they 8-man football?
No, the one that Butte Falls used to be, but they play 11-man football now because they've joined with a charter school.
Okay.
And I don't know how long they'll be in that league because I was at a meeting in August and I met their AD and they're saying their numbers are going to be more like 275 this year. So they've grown exponentially fast. So they may be a 3A school even once they get going, but I hope not, because I think the thing about charter schools is they end up with those kind of numbers, but a lot of those kids aren't participating in athletics. So really their numbers are more like what a 2A school should be. So I hope that helps them. Other than that, that's about all I have for you. All the sports are up and running and going crazy. And by the way, our football field for a large portion of the last 2 weeks is the most sought after piece of real estate in the state. At times I was getting up to 12 different games wanting to relocate to our field because we were one of only 2 places in the state that had clean enough air to play. And so I had former friends who were ADs all across the state calling, going, "Can we use your field?" And I said, "You do know where we're at, right? Because we're pretty remote. We're so remote the smoke won't even move in." So that's how far out here we are. But the schools that end up coming and playing, I couldn't say no to because I've taught at 4 schools, and all 4 of them played on this field last weekend. So I had to say yes to those guys.
Were we taking bids?
Well, most of them were willing to pay, but what we did is they allowed us to take gate, and we got to keep the gate for running their games. And it varied. You know, when Ashland has a home game this far away, they didn't travel very well, so we only made a couple $100, but it's still okay. But what it does is it forges relationships with some other schools. I know Summit offered if we ever need to meet a school halfway, they'd be willing to have us host on their field, which would be good for our kids. It's a nice turf field. It'd be nice to get one of those Portland area schools to meet us halfway and play, and it gives us an opportunity. So we'll take them up on that. And I just got a request today for this Friday night. I don't know if it'll happen. It's going to be hard for us to run when we're at Lost River, but Bend High School's trying to move the game down here with Redmond. So we'll see if that flies. The bad news is it's some wear and tear on our field, and that field gets pretty tore up by the end of the year. So I thought if we charged enough, we could build an indoor stadium, and it would be good enough. Any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Old business,
We have them, Madam Chair.
new business.
The first one is the approval of the Fremont AU staff handbook, and Mrs. Warner will take direction on that.
The calendar in our packet starts on page 35 with our bell schedule that changed just a little bit. We were experiencing multiple kids there that were just dropped off anywhere from 7 to 7:15. And those kids are unsupervised. I don't even have staff coming on until 7:30, 7:45. So we staggered our assistants coming on board at 7:30 to give a little more supervision for that. We have sent multiple notices out to parents, and they still are just dropping them off. And part of that's a work schedule, and part of that is just them coming in, because we don't serve breakfast until 7:45. So we just bumped that up 10 minutes from 7:30 to from 7:40 to 7:50, so that they would know that we were providing a little bit more supervision. We start on page 36 with there aren't changes to the safety protocol. It was all redone with the purchase of our telephone systems. The old one really was kind of null and void. We weren't going to use that bell system anymore, so we drafted it, we practiced it multiple times. And now we're doing drills every month with the safety protocol for earthquakes, lockdown situation, a lockout situation, and an evacuation situation, as well as our fire drills. So, and the phone system works fairly well in that I failed to alert law enforcement when we did one of them, and the grounds crew was out at the hospital, and they heard us, they could hear our intercoms from the hospital locking down, and they called law enforcement for us. So, they called and made sure we weren't really in trouble, but our community knows when we're in trouble, and that's a good thing to know. So the safety protocol, I'm happy. Visitors are not much different, but locked doors during school hours are a little bit different. And then you move right into inclement weather and safety protocols. And I know you guys have had these for a little bit. Do you have questions about any of those? Those are the largest changes to our student handbook, or our staff handbook rather.
No, I think it looks good, and I'm glad you've taken it into consideration, especially for us, winter.
Well, we had quite a bit of inclement weather, and we had kids in an awful lot of days, and we had to develop some kind of protocol, because we did have parents calling and saying, you know, is my child outside? It's 10 degrees below zero. And, you know, we had some buses gelling up, and so we really needed to make a plan for those kiddos first thing in the morning early. We didn't want them on the playgrounds at all, so. I know we have a lot to get through, so I don't want to take a lot of your time. Duties on, if we go to page 44, duties are essentially the same. The changes I put in bold or other considerations, being on time for your duty, students unsupervised, and I kind of pounded home that they don't need to be on their cell phones during duty. Attendance and calendar on page 45 is all the same. Progress notification, I just bolded that and made it a little bit bigger. Discipline, home lunches at cafeteria are all the same. Cafeteria, assemblies, employee admission, volunteers are all the same. I put a little clarification in the section for field trips, because our teachers always try and get their field trip volunteers approved, bring them to the board for approval, and they don't need to be. If you're going on a field trip, you have supervision from the teacher, you're just going with them for the day, and they don't really need to go through that process. So I put a little bit in there. And then I tried to clarify volunteers' process just a little bit more on page 46. Accidents remained the same. Everything on page 47 stayed the same. I just bolded and underlined the section with teacher absences about them making it work call in advance, because we don't have many substitutes, and that's an issue for us. On page 48, I put a line in there about cell phones should not be used during recess duty or student contact time. I have got some phone calls on that, and that's been a little bit of an issue that I've addressed several times with staff. Everything else on page 48 remained the same. 49 remained the same. And 50 was a change for those of you that are new from last year. We just cleaned up language for certified and classified employees for leaves that was closer to our CBA. We just took direct language from there and put it in here. I think we're about to the end of it. Questions that I can answer?
What's the response been for the new pickup after school?
I've had a few people that are frustrated with having to wait for their kids outside. But for the most part, the teachers like it very much. The responses that I've got have been overwhelmingly fairly positive from parents who like it from a safety standpoint to have those kids going hand to hand to them instead of just released. We've talked to people from multiple other schools, and many schools are just locked down, period. Front door, you know, is locked as well with a buzz-in type system, which we really don't want to go to because it takes away from our school culture and the openness of our schools. But we really did feel like our schools were fairly open. And we've had enough unfriendly visitors at different times that we felt like we needed to do something a little bit different. Our staff is working on kind of how we want to work that for inclement weather, and the kids are already bundled up to come out. It's the parents that need to kind of get bundled up, because the kids are already bundled up to go to the bus or go home anyway. Because if you don't put their hats on them and you don't put their little mittens on them, then they get left in the classroom. So we would like to continue with this. The teachers like it. We've had an awful lot of learning time lost.
That was probably my biggest concern. It seemed it was taking longer to get rid of the kids, but maybe it's not, I'm not sure.
We feel like,
So what do you have to do now?
we feel like the first week we really were slow.
The front door of Fremont is locked during the pickup time, and parents are just coming back to the back, and all the teachers come out with all the kids.
Oh, so they don't get to come out and get in your car anymore?
The bigger kids can, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you're just standing there, the big kids, 4, 5, 6 can.
okay.
This is just K through 3. They've always let them go. The bus kids get to walk out by themselves, K3.
If they walk home and have permission, they can.
Right. So 3rd grade is released. 2nd and 3rd grade are usually released to go to the bus by themselves. K1 are walked to the bus and put on the bus. And then all the kids that were picked up were picked up in their classrooms previously. But what was happening is, our parents were showing up in their hallways at 2 o'clock, and school's not released until 2:30, and it was getting so loud in those hallways that they couldn't teach. They shut their doors, or little kids were running in and out of the room if they didn't have the doors shut, or waving, and we just were really disrupting that learning process. And when the kids saw their parents, they were just kind of running, and lots of parents were visiting, and they'd walk behind you anyway. We tried to streamline that a little bit, and we're getting faster, but it's still a little bit of a learning process. Other questions? Thank you.
So I move to approve the 2017-18 Fremont Hay Union Staff Handbook as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. 11.2. I will move. 11.2. 11.3, request for waiver of the 2017-18 science textbook adoption, K through 6.
Back to Mrs. Warner, and next meeting we'll have one from the high school, middle school.
Well, we cut the science adoption out of our last year's budget in order to preserve jobs. Because we have a science curriculum, it's not changing, that quickly, and our staff felt comfortable with the science curriculum they had. We did a little bit of supplemental materials for our teachers for this year, but we just didn't have the money to do it. And so I'm asking for a waiver from the state of Oregon to waive that adoption.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the request for waiver of the 2017-18 science textbook adoption, K6, and request to adopt current science textbook materials as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Property lease agreement.
This was your bad boy.
Not mine.
Hospital approached me, they're building a new clinic, asked if they could just store equipment on those little pieces of land across the creek from Fremont and Hay. Very little impact whatsoever, and they would, as far as in return, they would get some donation. They have to specify what kind of donation to the hay, retrofit of the hay playground, so I didn't have a problem with it. They've had a fence on the one side for about a month, and they hasn't yet not put anything in there, so.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the property lease agreement between Adroit Construction and Lake County School District 7 as presented.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Are we gonna time down the amount?
We're gonna be talking to Mr. Michael Sereno, I think his name, so we have that discussion with him, so.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Tuition contracts, Adele, Bush.
Okay, this is pretty standard. We do this every year. We kind of have residents, MODOC kids come in up from MODOC that attend our schools up here. Adele, I think I've got 2, possibly 3 that are here, and Plush, I think I've got about 6 kids that are actually coming here. And so basically I charge them tuition because their residency is in those said places. And so this is just an agreement between the districts, and we charge them accordingly to audit rates, which that will not change until January. And then we'll do it again in January. So we have these every year, more so a procedural thing. Any questions on it?
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the tuition contracts for Adele, MODOC, and Plush as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Thompson's about 1 block away.
Should we do consent agenda and then?
Was there one item that we discussed that needed pulled out of the consent agenda, or was it separate?
Now, we gave you to noon on yesterday to request to pull stuff out of the consent agenda. We didn't hear from any of you.
Is there something that you?
Well, no, the discussion that we had earlier on the other property.
No,
That's not part of the consent agenda.
No,
Okay.
that was just discussion. That was it.
We're good.
That was Mr. Thompson.
Okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Jack, you're on.
Good timing.
Good timing? All right. First off, hi everybody, I'm Jack Thompson. I'm the new ESD superintendent.
You know all our board members?
I don't.
Okay,
No.
Darwin Johnson,
I was going with
Corey Price, Annie Button.
I think this is the third time.
We'll
do it again.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, nothing like having 2 board meetings in one night. You guys really mess things up by changing your nights, I tell you.
It's all about football, right?
Make Adele change theirs, Jack. so.
Well, you know, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
So, what my purpose is tonight, I needed to come in and just talk to you briefly. They've all had a chance to see the MOU?
It's in their packet, yeah.
Okay. So,
The page,
It's 53 on the scroll,
53?
but I don't know what it is on your paper, hard copy.
I think it's the same.
so some of the things that are a little bit different than last year's MOU, well, excuse me, the same. The enrichment funds that we had last year, those have been reinstated with the increase from the 7.8 to 8.2 billion. We were able to put those enrichment funds back in. So I just heard a yes from I'm assuming a teacher from behind me. So we got to spend those funds. So those will be available. And the special ed teacher is no longer going to be an ESD employee, is now going to be a Lake employee. And that's no fault of ours. Lakeview went ahead and hired our special ed teacher to teach kindergarten, I believe it was.
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
true, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, you do it yourself, so. We have added, this year, you've got 2 new special education teachers. And so the ESD is paying for a mentor for the 2 special ed teachers. So we'll be having that available, along with Amy Fortune, who will be mentoring any of your just regular general ed teachers. She'll be continuing that job also. The certified librarian support, that position was reduced by 0.05 FTE. She did not want to work as much anymore, and she felt that even with that FTE, she was able to continue to keep us legal as far as librarians. So we went ahead and gave her that. Let's see, the SMART program, that was phased out, and so that's not in the MOU. The funding was gone for that. And the STEM grant funds, those are going to be expended by the end of September. And there's no more funds for those, and I haven't seen any STEM grant funds come through yet. So those are the only changes and stuff in the MOU. So I'm just needing an approval for the MOU from you folks, and then you get signed and I get signed. So, yeah.
Do you have any questions of their services?
I move to approve the School District 7 ESD MOU as presented.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good.
Yep, a couple other things, just to let you know what's coming up. I got an email yesterday, so it's off the presses, that Ethos is a music organization out of Portland, and their whole purpose in life is to provide music education to rural communities. And I was able to contact them, and Megan is the woman's name. She is interviewing a candidate on Tuesday. He is from Klamath. He has a bachelor's degree in music composition and piano from Linfield University, and then he also has a master's degree in music composition from San Francisco Music, oh doggone it, what's the word?
The one out of Berkeley?
Yeah, it's not a consortium. What's that?
Conservatory?
Conservatory, thank you. I've had it too. Conservatory. So he's got a master's degree in music. He has done lots of teaching as far as small groups and those kinds of things. He's done some teaching of special ed kids, music. And so hopefully this works out. She said she's done her phone interview with him and she really liked him, but she wants to meet him in person. So unless this guy has 3 horns or something, she's going to hire him. The ESD is going to pay for that, and then what will happen is he will live here in Lakeview, and he will spend 1 day in split between Adel and Plush, and then he will spend 1 day in Paisley, and then he will spend the other 3 days a week at Hay and Fremont and Union, and give them music instruction to all of the different classes and stuff there. So that's coming to you guys hopefully soon. As soon as they get him hired up and we can find him a place to live. So if anybody knows of any apartments or houses or anything to rent.
There's a house on H Street that's up for sale, but they don't rent it. Contact Will's wife.
I did. I've already been pestered. So it's pretty bad when you ask the realtor. It's like, that's not what I do. I sell houses. I don't rent them yet. So yeah.
So North Lake, are they getting in on that too?
North Lake, they do not, I'm not gonna be able to provide them with anything this year. But if anything changes in the positioning of people within the Ethos organization and they end up with someone extra, North Lake will be the first one to get it. And then they'll be, we'll put that in the budget for next year, and they're first on the list to get included into the organization for next year.
Do you think he would work at the library? I know Lacey Cope was doing a Friday morning little pre-K type music class. I don't know, just spread him around.
He can, yes. I mean, obviously
They might
our
be
first,
interested as well.
our first,
Is the
line is
school.
gonna be the school and the classrooms,
sure,
things like
for
that, but if, I don't know what the schedules are and how things work out, but if he's got an hour block or an hour and a half block or something like
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't a
He
big
easily
chunk
could go
of
down
it
and
was-
teach something in the library or something of that nature. He can also do, after-school private lessons, and that kind of
really?
stuff. So, yeah, it sounds like I think he's mainly piano, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have abilities in other musical instruments, I don't know.
That's super exciting. A
Yeah.
lot of the piano instructors in town, health is not well.
Yeah,
If he's piano, you're likely won't have 3 horns.
yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about, but I was, I was hoping. All that bass class was a problem, so. Another project that I'm working on that I'm just about ready to have, hopefully have it kick off at the end of the month, is I have ordered hotspots for the different school districts. Each school district will get some. Lakeview will get 7, and they are these little hotspots here, and they're Wi-Fi. They go over the cell phone lines, and so Lakeview will get 7 of these. However, your technology department wants to divvy them up, and they are able to be checked out to kids. And that way, if a kid has homework they need to do at home and they don't have internet access, and you're able to check out a Chromebook to them, they would be able to go home and be able to get internet access without, without having to have wiring or anything like that at home. They are filtered. You can't get to YouTube, and you cannot obviously get to any bad sites and that kind of stuff. So it's a filtered internet service. So anyway, those will be coming to you guys here hopefully by the end of the month. This is my trial one, and so I've been all over the county checking it out to see how good a service it has, to make sure it's good enough. Otherwise, they have another one that they said they'd be giving me if this one didn't work. So far it's been fine. I haven't had any problem. Any place that has cell service, it's working. So.
Have you met Evan Reese, our techie?
What's that?
Have you met Evan Reese, our tech guy?
Yeah, he's been in the email loop with this company, and we have a
Okay.
training coming up, and he's been CC'd on all that, so he's aware of it. The neat thing is they're trackable, so if somebody's, oh, I lost it, yeah, we can find it. And the other thing is we can monitor how much usage and kind of what usage is being done with them. So if there was anything inappropriate or like that, we'd be able to track it. They're not, they are information that we can see on the computer. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, so that's coming up too.
Good stuff, Jeff.
Yeah. Trying to bring in a few things.
Okay, any questions for Jack? Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Announcements?
Yes, a couple. We're getting into OSBA Fall Regional Meeting mode, October 24th up at Paisley. Jack, do you have any additional information on that?
No, I just know it is scheduled and everything in place.
Is it set for 6:30, is that correct, Tandy?
It's October 24th, 6 p.m.
6 p.m.? Okay.
It's dinner will be $20 a plate. It will include a beef entree with a side salad, and dessert. And we will need to be get Debbie Goss a head count by October 9th.
Okay.
So I'll be pestering you guys about that.
You got new information than I got today.
That's all I have on that.
Next board meeting agenda item.
As you recall, the next board meeting is set to be a work session with Steve Kelly to do the board training. We'll have dinner at 5:30. We'll start the board training session at 6 o'clock, right here in this room. I tried to get ESD and other boards to join us, and there were no takers, so there will be you folks and the administration team. So,
Do we need to approve any school volunteers or anything at that meeting? Do we need to open up at all? I mean, do
If
have
we,
parents that
I
might
put a disclaimer in there saying that if there's any pertinent business, we'll go into a quick
Take
general
care of it.
session to get the business done and then get out, get back into your
What time we're gonna try to end that meeting by?
but,
3 hours.
so 5:30 to 6 dinner, 6 to 9 the training. So
And then forward to the next one.
Questions? That's it, folks, unless you have something for me.
I need one last motion.
I move we adjourn the meeting.